Welcome back to IT Support Basics Lab course. In our last video, we have created a server and a domain controller following our blog training. I have shared this link in the description. If you would like to watch blogs and continue this from blogs, you can do that as well. We have finished this 1.0, we have finished 1.1b, and now we are going to create a client machine. When someone says server client, they're talking about a server, let's say 2019. And when you talk about client, they're talking about Windows 10 machine or any other operating systems that people are going to be using. In our lab course, we're using only Windows operating system, so we're going to just talk about Windows 10. But in this case, remember from our last videos, we are training a help desk, and Sherry is our help desk. In this video, we need to create a machine for Sherry. And now Sherry is watching how a systems administrator actually create a help desk machine. It's not different than any normal client, but of course, when you log in as a help desk, you just have more access. You have more, control over your machine. So as a technical person, you need to now understand that your machine is a little different than other because of that access. And how does that work? Just like in our last video, in Active Directory server, let's go to the domain controller and open that as a systems administrator. We're going to log in again to the server, and we have created a help desk account. So let's go ahead and log in as an administrator first. So this is in this lab, a systems administrator is logging into the server. He's going into this server now. And then going to Tools, Active Directory Users and Computers. And you see we have created a help desk account. To confirm that this help desk have more access, we give it domain admin rights. So in this case, help desk account is the Sherry account. Basically, the Sherry is the help desk over here. So we're just going to put in description Sherry, just so we can remember this is actually Sherry. Now in real world environment, you are given your own name. Sherry is going to be here, another person, Tom, somebody else will be here. They will be the help desk with their own accounts. You don't use a generic account to actually log in and do things. That's just not a good practice. But in this case, just so we understand that this is all help desk, we're going to be using help desk. All right, so now let's go ahead and create a client machine. We're going to let that running the server. We're going to click on create a new virtual machine, next, and we're going to call it help desk. Same process, Windows, and here we have to choose a Windows 10 machine, right? 64-bit. We're going to click next and next again. Now this is where I'm gonna give this more RAM in this lab. Why? Because this is a help desk machine, and we need to be installing some stuff on this machine, so then we need to be working a little faster. So if you're doing your lab and you have 16 GB RAM, I would make your domain controller 4 GB, this is 8 GB, and you can add another client for testing. And similar process, I'm going to use thin client, just thin provisioned, is in case if I want to move from 32 to 45 or something. Data ISO, I am going to pick the client right here. You see, this is client. I am going to select that and next and finish. So now we have help desk. We're going to turn it on and go to console very quickly and then hit enter after clicking. You see how it's so fast. You have to click inside the black screen first, then click enter, and your operating system installation will start now. We are going to click next. Install now. If you want to read the agreement, please read it. Accept and click next. Again, we're installing a brand new operating system, custom, and that's a space that we have allocated. Next. And that's it. You see how it was similar to the server installation. It's very easy to just install operating system and you're done. That is the skill that you have just learned. If somebody asks you, how do you install an operating system? Try it on a virtual machine like this. Maybe find yourself a old hardware laptop or a desktop, try to do that physically from a USB or something like that to give you that kind of skills as well. So then you know how to install an operating system, right? You want to get away from this initial installations of things. So if you're using Practice Lab, then you're not worried about, how do you install operating system, because when you click on MD100 and you open this lab, it's already there. This is for our premium member, because then you're not thinking about, hey, I missed that skill of installing this whole domain controller. How do I do this? Now, once you do it in this lab, you really don't need to do this again and again, just to learn. You need to then focus on what's in these courses, what's in this lab. Those are the skills that you need to focus on. So then you can enhance your learning much smarter or a faster way. And if you go back, it takes a little time. Now, while this is happening, a lot of people will be probably thinking about it right now as a beginner. How do I learn about client? What's in this operating system? How do I get better at Windows 10 specifically? So for that, again, because this is a lab course, it's basics. If you want to do this in detail, again, go to your jobskillshare.org, start your journey, click on the program, which is the first program here, and the first course is IT Fundamentals Step 1, V1.0. Once you get into this code, if you scroll down, your Windows 10 is available from our partner. We give you this access. You basically kind of learn the CompTIA Plus, which is a lot about Windows 10. And then you can see module 1 to all the way to module 15 in this first course is all about Windows 10. You're going to learn a lot about Windows 10. Of course, a little bit of other operating systems as well, but it's mainly about Windows 10. And then after that, when you go to the second course, which is the Technical Skills V1.0, these modules then start after module 16 right here. We cover everything till the end, and everything is Windows 10. Most of it is Windows 10. So of course, this is the stuff that we're not going to cover in our basics. We're just going to cover mainly about joining a computer domain, some basics and some core skills and some important skills. But of course, teaching a whole Windows 10 course will be another story right here. So we already did that. And this course is definitely free. You can get started. You can learn a lot from free access with the Step 1 course, which is this one, which is free. So I would definitely highly recommend you, if you're thinking right now, like, okay, how would I learn about these client stuff? What's inside? I want to learn some details. Then of course you need to be in this course. And then I would recommend you to at least get the Plus membership so you can watch the videos in all of these courses. And of course, if you want to do hands-on practice with Practice Lab, then you need to invest in the premium membership. And premium membership is not limited to that. You can even do MD100. More modern skills are coming, right? We all know that Windows 10 is getting advanced. They're using a lot of service model now. MD101 is there, managing modern desktop. So now things are getting modernized. And of course, you will need this type of access if you really want to learn something more in detail and more modern skills. I would heavily suggest that if you don't want to invest with us, at least invest with somebody else, but get these courses. I mean, MD100, MD101, try to get those, because you need this. That's how things are moving now. So let's go back in where we are right now. 95% done. That's the good thing about when you're using SSD, on your servers, because they're going very fast. If you were using a normal hard drive, of course, that's going to be a little slow process. All right, we're done with installation. All right, so this is just the initial setup for Windows 10, and I hope that you know this basics. So you're gonna click on United States, depending on where you live. You're just gonna click yes, US. I'm in US. I'm just gonna skip this keyboard layout one. Now, just so I can give you some tips, most of the companies will have their own processes of what you should pick and not, depending on their specific requirements. And this is usually done by other technicians. They will, when you're new to the company, they have documentation. They will tell you which option to pick and which option to turn off and on, everything like that. If they're going to be using a Microsoft accounts, they will tell you that. If they're going to be using domain join accounts, they will tell you that. So in this lab, we're going to be using domain join instead. We're not using a Microsoft because we're using an internal domain controller here. We're going to be using domain join. Later, we will show you how you can connect these two together. We will do this later on in our later labs where we do cloud stuff, because we are going to move towards cloud very soon. So now it says right here, who's going to use this PC? So basically, we're just going to say right now, for now, admin. This is a local account. Remember, you have installed a machine. The first account that it is asking for is an admin local account. This machine and your domain machine, this one, right now your domain is a king, but this king is not controlling this machine. Right now, both don't know anything about each other, okay? So in a real world environment, that's exactly when you install a brand new machine, it doesn't know anything about your network. So first thing you need to do is to make sure you create a local account. Local account is an account that's usually given to a help desk, or if it's a fresh account, you will be given documentation, which account to use, what kind of password to use. So we're going to do that admin, and you will give the password over here. So another reminder again, we are using this machine, and this is a security question. Again, this will be given to you in the documentation. What kind of questions we should be using in the company, you will do that. Okay, so again, like I said, all of these information will be given to you, what to pick. Sometimes if it's not given to you, of course, I'll just accept some. If you want to turn off something, that's really up to you. I'm just going to say not now. I don't want Cortana to do anything. And I'm just going to finish this off right now. It's going to say, hi, let's wait. Basic stuff so far. So here you go. So the first time when you log into the machine, like I said, you can actually go to our course and kind of learn from our fundamental course about, about Windows 10 and everything specifically in more detail. But I'm just going to go over some of the basics. So the first thing you did is you actually created an account. If you right click on your start window and then you go to the computer management here, you can see you can go to the local users and you see that is the account that you just created. But it also by default comes with other accounts which are disabled. That's for security reasons. You can right click and enable this account if you want to by going to properties, and basically you can remove this unchecked box and you can enable that. Now, why would you need this local account? When you work in a company and you have to set up things in the beginning, first you need this account to get into this machine. Second, if you connect this machine to this domain controller Active Directory and then this king is managing this computer, then your other employees, everybody in the Active Directory can actually log into this machine if you allow it. And by default, a lot of people will allow it. They will log in, they will have their own profiles, right? But what happens if this machine is down, this domain controller is down, or if this machine is having any issues, or somehow the connection between this machine and this machine dropped? Now you cannot log in with a domain account credentials. This is where you're going to need this local account. You're going to have to log in as this local account to configure something or set or change some settings, or unjoin it from the domain, remove it from this Active Directory, and then configure things. Now this kind of stuff you learn in the courses as well, but I will be teaching some of the basics in these labs as well. So here you can see you have a local admin account over here, and then you have the local settings like event viewer, where you can check the logs in this machine. You can see the disk management, what kind of disks are available to you. If you add more virtual disks, you could probably come over here and rescan more disks. If you want to, you can create more virtual VHDs. You have services from here. You can start a service, you can stop a service. So many different things are available here. Most likely a lot of times we work on task manager from here. You go to task manager, right click here, and a lot of people say, hey, my Outlook is not working. You can simply kind of come over here and see what's running in your system, and then you can go to services from here as well. You can start services. You can also see if somebody's complaining about, hey, I'm having an issue with something like Skype getting started as soon as I start my computer. You can come over here to startup and see which programs are enabled at startup. You can disable them and stuff like that. You can also go to performance and see a CPU performance, memory performance, disk performance, and your Ethernet. And then you can even do more advanced stuff over here, which can be learned from our courses as well. So that's just to show you, some of the things that you can do. Of course, then there are some extreme basics like creating a folder on a machine, like right click, go to folder, shortcuts, things like that, or maybe going to this computer, like, okay, how can I map a share drive and stuff like that, So if you go to this PC, you can see that C drive is right here. This is your DVD. Right click on this and you can map stuff over here. Sometimes you may be looking at the files that you can see, like, okay, where are those other files? Maybe they're hidden, so you may just have to click on view and you have to click on hidden items, and then you will see the hidden files. Because you want to get to something and you're like looking at the documentation and it says that it's under C user / default. I mean, you're like, whoa, I don't see defaults. That's because probably it's hidden. Sometimes people may say, oh, you need to open an extension or change an extension, or I don't see that extension. So sometimes it's hidden as well. So you may have to go to the view and you just say file name extension, and usually the file will have a .exe, .info, whatever that is, that's going to show up in there. Sometimes people will say, I downloaded the file, but I don't see it. This is extreme basics that I'm talking about. You're going to go to downloads, and it's right here in the downloads folder. And sometimes people say, I want to set up my OneDrive. Where is that? And then, of course, it just comes with this Windows 10 installation when you install Office 365. Installations, and new versions also comes with OneDrive right now. As soon as you can see, I just installed a brand new operating system. It has OneDrive already. Okay. Now, of course, this is extreme basic, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is where I say that you need to go to the course, the free course, and then you can even take our more practical courses like Windows MD 100, Windows 10, MD 101. There are some Windows specific courses as well in this, like security fundamentals of Windows 10, and so many different practical courses you can take. So I'm not going to waste too much time in the local learning of client. That's something you should be learning from that type of courses. Okay, so now that we have a machine right here, now again, did this name carry over? And I can tell you no, because like I said from the first example, it does not carry over from your virtual environment. You need to go inside the machine and change this name. So we're going to go into rename this machine, and we're going to say helpdesk. And now we're going to click next and restart this machine again. All right, so now we have restarted the machine, and when you double click on the screen, that will come up in server. You have to go through the actions and do Alt Control Delete in a VMware. So let's go ahead and go back to this machine. And you can see again, there's only one account, admin, right? That's a local account, local admin account. So now what we need to do, we need to connect this machine to our domain controller, right? So the first thing you need to understand now, that if you want to connect this machine to this domain, then of course somebody in this domain needs to have some kind of rights, because you're connecting this machine to this machine, and this machine will say, okay, helpdesk is knocking door to DC. DC is like, who are you? Oh yeah, I am helpdesk. Okay, but what kind of who's requesting this? So in DC, remember, domain admin was a helpdesk. We created a helpdesk account in there, and a helpdesk, you're gonna put the username and password in this helpdesk machine, and the DC will say, oh yeah, helpdesk is a part of our Active Directory, and he has the rights. So we will get you in. Don't worry. Let's do that. So the first thing you will do is go to this. There's different multiple ways of joining a machine to domain, by the way. I'm just showing you one method, and I hope you will find multiple methods by doing your own research. That's your homework. Right click on this PC, go to properties, and then you can see right now, this is where when you come over here in this machine, you can come over here and say, okay, where do I go from here? We used to have a settings where I can just go and find those settings. Where are the settings? That's where Windows is changing things. Remember, every time you start a new version of Windows, you probably won't find things if you if you're looking at information right here. So if you come over here and you're like, wow, I don't see that. Where's that there has to be like a system information. So if I right click over here again, a lot of people do this and then go to properties, they won't probably see that. Like, okay, I used to see in a system information where it says like your PC name. That's very different than how I used to see this. So here you see this, there's no for you, it's like you can come over here and then do things. Like if you click on advanced system settings, it takes you to this place right here. If you go to the computer name, you can see right now there's a way you can change it, change the computer name, right? So if you click on change, it takes you to domain. Another way you can do this, if you just type work, change work group name, if you click on that, it takes you to the same spot. Another way to do this is if you just type domain, you see access work or group or school. You can click on that and you see it's a little newer method. So I'm thinking one day Microsoft will remove the older GUI and they'll probably start using this one. So let's do an example. We want to connect now. We want to connect this to a domain controller, this Active Directory. So the first thing you need to do is you need to see what are you doing right here. So are you joining this to a school account? No, we are not using that. Are you using Azure Active Directory? No, we're not using that. What are we using? We're using local Active Directory domain. So this is your local Active Directory, the king. So this is kind of like telling this machine, you're going to be part of this kingdom. There's a king DC and he will be controlling you from now on. Are you ready? Let's do this. Join this machine to the domain. And now it's asking you for the domain, so what is our domain? Okay, now you're like, somebody's taking an interview from you, and you're like, okay, you know what? How do I find that? Let's go back to the DC now. And let's log in. And remember, I'm doing this at the very basic level. So a lot of people will come in, you can do this with the PowerShell, you can do this with command line. No, this is for people who really want to learn something from scratch, GUI, the visual. We're not getting into none of the command line stuff. That's later on. We will talk about that later on to how to get better at this stuff, right? You always want to start something little manual to see how it's done. Then later on, you want to script it. You want to use command line stuff. We'll do this later on, okay? Don't worry about it. So we're going to go to tools. We're going to go to Active Directory, users and computers. So what is our domain that we're using here? hq.jobskillshare.org. Let's see if that is even correct. So if I type hq.jobskillshare.org, will that work? Oh, it does not even. Immediately, it's just like, I don't even know what you're typing over here. So if you guys remember, we also use corp. Would that work? No, it doesn't work. Okay, so what's the problem over here? Okay, let's do this method is not good. Let's just try this. Doesn't mean that it's not good. It didn't give me a proper error. So now I'm going to use this method by using the computer name system properties. I came to the system properties and I'm not going to try this again from here now. Okay, that's a little different error. So if I go to details, now that's where you as a technical person need to really understand this area. Whenever there's an error, make sure please do not just do this. Like you do this, I see so many interns, they see the error, they close it, immediately they just go to ping and they start doing other things. No, first open it, wait. What kind of information is in front of you? That's the first thing for you. Okay, I have seen that it's not connecting. Oh, I see some details. Let's click on details. Okay, it's pointing to something about DNS does not exist. This record does not exist. Now, if you remember, we said that in the beginning that this is your DNS from now on. This is the guy who's going to be controlling this machine. So this machine cannot be talking somewhere else because the somewhere else doesn't know anything about this DC. So now we're going to go into command line. And this is where now I'm going to tell you something. When you open CMD, and if I'm opening CMD right now and Sherry's like, hey Danish, I really don't know what this CMD is. That's where you need course level information. You cannot be teaching this stuff in extreme basics in lab basics like this. So go back to the course. And inside the course, the IT Fundamental V1.0, again, you're going to come to the main site, start your journey, come back, start the self-paced program. Step 1, start this course from here. And then inside this course, when you get in, look at this, we have this command line full section on command line. There's a lecture, there's navigation, there's ipconfig, ping. All these are basic commands that everyone will test you regardless of your roles. sysadmin, help desk, security, anybody, someone will test you on this stuff. Now, if you want to get really good at command line, go to our YouTube channel, go to JobSkills Share, type JobSkills Share. Don't forget to subscribe. Click on playlist and then click on CMD course for IT new professional. We have a huge course on CMD if you want to get better at CMD. So now that you got the learning information, come back over here. Let's just try to see what's going on. All right. So the first thing we need to do is, can we ping the machine? Ping, let's say, what is the name of that? Can we ping DC? Okay, it's pinging DC. But is that the correct DC? Because we may have more DCs. So the first thing you need to do now on DC is to go to CMD, IP config. You're going to just do that. I'm just doing some basic stuff right here, right? So we know when we ping DC, it's pinging DC 194. Perfect, yeah. So is there a connection issue? No. Is DC up and running? Yes, right? Both machines are running. Both machines can talk to each other. So let's do ping help desk. Oh, look at that. It cannot ping help desk. That's fine. I'm not too worried about that yet right now. So, okay, we said, okay, it cannot ping help desk, but it can ping DC. But this guy can talk to my DC, no problem. Okay, so what else can I do? Can I do ping hq.jobskillshare.org? No. Okay, so I already know that one way it can do the ping to the machine, but the other way it's actually not pinging the hq.jobskillshare.org. So what do I do right here? Well, I have few options now. I need to use another command to see where is this DNS pointing to in this lab right now. And if you have the same type of situ, then you will do the same thing. You're going to do ipconfig. Ipconfig gives you a very basic information. IP address, subnet, default gateway. Everything looks fine. I want to know the DNS. So how do you do that? /all. You're just going to do up arrow and just put /all. And now, this DNS is not the DNS that I'm looking for, because I said in the beginning, I want to be controlled by this guy. This is a DNS. So why is this 94 while this is 10.1? That's a key right there. So in this lab, you need to understand, if you're using our server, you're not going to automatically get this IP address. You need to manually do this. In a real world environment, if you would have watched my first videos, that's why I say you have to start from my first videos. In a real world environment, a network engineer and systems administrator will configure this automatically, so you don't have to do this. This part you probably will not do this as a help desk. It will be done for you. It will point to a correct DNS server. So watch my first videos in this whole lab course, because then you need to understand that concept. So in this lab, you need to go to your computer network settings, and then you feel like, wow, how do you even what is that? How do I do this? And you're struggling with this. Oh my God, this is so new stuff to me. Then again, go back to the course, because that's extreme basics. You need to learn that. So now if you come over here and I see to adapter, I click on properties. In properties, I am going to click on TCP v4, and here the DNS in the domain server, I put 127.0.0.1 because I wanted to point it to the same IP address. Here, I am going to use what IP address? Give me an answer. Oh yeah, you're right. I'm going to use 192, 168, 10, and 194. Okay, because I want this machine to be controlled by, this. Forget about this right now, just put 888, and later on I'll explain all this stuff when we get a little more advanced. For now, just put 888 and click OK and close it. And now let's go back to this option now, and we're gonna click OK. Oh, look at that, it worked. Why did it work? Because remember, you were knocking a door to this DNS server. So the DNS server, it didn't know, like for example, when you were like pinging connections, yes, fine. Because in the same network, these both machines can talk to each other because of the names and everything, because of the IP DHCP addresses, because they were on the same network. But on the domain level, it didn't know anything about it because it's a DNS entry. right? So you need to make sure that you point this machine now to talk to this guy right here. Let me in. I want to be a part of your DNS. So now, because you pointed your DNS, it's not pointed to somewhere else because that DNS server doesn't know anything about this guy right here. So we need to basically do this process. So now if you come over here and you just type helpdesk, now you see I'm not typing admin here. I'm not typing a local account over here. I'm typing a domain account, domain user inside this DC. So, and it has rights to do all these things. I'm going to use a username and password. And what will happen? It will let you join to this machine. So what happened is this: when you did that part, you say, okay, this machine is now being controlled by this king now. You see what happened? This machine is now being controlled by this server with Active Directory. Let's go to computers now. Look at that. This computer just popped up there because now this account, these usernames, these admins over here, let's say helpdesk, administrator, anyone, any domain admin have full rights on this machine now. They can do a lot of things now. So this is why it's important for you to understand this whole flow of access, because most of the time when you're working in a real environment, it's issues related to access. So if you don't know how this works, most of the time you're going to be confused. You won't be able to troubleshoot things. Because when you do this, when you connect this machine to this domain controller, a lot of things are happening right now. Policies are getting applied to these machines and things are happening. So you need to know. So now that you have done that part, the administrator came in and it's like, Sherry, from now on, you cannot use helpdesk because that's a generic account. Just, you can use it sometimes to add a machine to a domain, but you can use this your own. You can now use your own username that I'm creating for you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new account now. I just want to show you that I did not even touch this machine right now. I did not even touch it. Your name does not exist in here, right? And I'm going to show you something. I'm going to use Sherry. And I'm going to do Sherry again here. That's the username in Active Directory. And we're going to click next. And we're going to give it password. And there you go. I just added Sherry account. Can Sherry log into this machine? Because Sherry never even touched this machine. Sherry can come to other users, and you can see it's on corp because that's what we named it. And she can just type Sherry now. And the password. Boom. Sherry can log in. You see how easy it is when it's a domain join computers? That's the power of domain join. That's the power of domain network. That's the power of management, Active Directory management. You create accounts, they can log in anywhere in few seconds. You can lock them out. You can deploy software to this user. You can show them something on this machine from just doing that kind of setup. So that's it for part 2. Next part, we are going to continue our blog training. Of course, in this video, I'm adding more stuff than blogs. So keep on watching this video. Let me know how this is working. Are you guys learning something from it? And of course, go to the main course of JobSkillshare IT Fundamentals. Try to learn more in more details about Windows. And then, go to more advanced courses. If you can, definitely go for premium membership to do hands-on practice. Because when you come over here, this is a huge access. Try to contact us. See which labs we can recommend you based on your skills. And you will enhance your skill that way. But for now, I'm just going to keep things basics. Next, I will see you. And we will continue with Sherry, because next Sherry needs to actually create this machine to be more of a helpdesk machine and not just a normal user type of machine. She has to make this machine more powerful machine, so then Sherry can support other people in this domain connected environment, because Sherry will not be able to log into this server anymore. Sherry has to configure this machine to be able to troubleshoot, because that's how we do in real world. See you in the